What's up, everybody? I am so happy here in 2022 to bring you a new look to Superpowered Pop. We have children on the show now. But,
And we're going to talk about very dark messages too, and dark Marvel content with kids around. It's beautiful.
Our initial show of 2022 is to talk about the Marvel Knights, the darker side of Marvel, and we decided if we're going to talk about the dark side of Marvel, the vigilante side of Marvel, that we should have children. My niece and my nephew, my little Mitch's hashtag reference to Boy Meets World. Right here, we have LJ and Lorelai. My guest is Ross Turetsky. His contributors, LJ and Lorelai. Of course, I'm Dan Tortora.
And the boys too, and she's 4.5. It's going to be a great cast here today. Very young, youthful, impressionable children.
Yeah, very excited to be here with you, and happy to have Ross as now a weekly contributor of Superpowered Pop. So happy to have y'all here and to have some fun with this. And so, Ross.
LJ, let's have a mild roar like this. Roar, roar. This is better than anything we would have planned. Trust me, this is priceless content. Buy this type of content.
Well, I think the reality of it all is that I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams.
Yes, Moon Knight. So I'm looking forward to it, buddy.
So we're here with Ross Turetsky, myself, Dan Tortora. Ross is now a weekly contributor called Superpowered Pop. Here for you on our YouTube channel, on all of our social media at Superpowered Pop on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and of course our website, the website itself, superpoweredpop.com. So the Marvel Knights are what we're talking about, an unnamed group of level superheroes. Black Widow, Dagger of Cloak and Dagger, Daredevil, Moon Knight, The Punisher, and Shang-Chi have all been members of this Marvel Knights. And also, the darker side of Marvel, to continue this Marvel Knight-esque world, we also have The Punisher, have Blade, and we have Ghost Rider. What are your thoughts, Ross, about a darker side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm actually pretty shocked as, I don't know if you, I'm probably as shocked as you would be, as a big Disney fanatic like you are, going to Disney a lot. When Disney bought up Marvel, a lot of people were like, oh, this is going to be the end of like gritty storytelling. It's going to be, and that's what some people I know on the Bible side and DC side like to pigeonhole Marvel as, that it's all cookie cutter stories. They're all about the same, just tiny little difference. You have like great filmmakers like Martin Scorsese, Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola from Godfather is talking trash about Marvel movies, basically saying that it's a bunch of great actors and it's just like a pretty coloring book. There's no substance to it. It's a waste of their time. And he's talking a lot of trash about it. A lot of big-time filmmakers, I think, feel threatened because they think the only way you can make box office in a pandemic now is through a superhero movie, and Marvel especially. So once Disney bought that, yeah, Lulu has a picture for you. Once Disney bought that, the rights to Marvel, I also feared that there wasn't going to be much uniqueness to the storytelling. So I'm pretty actually excited that they're willing to go that far. Now that Deadpool and they have 20th Century Fox stuff there, Deadpool, Disney, unless they go back on the word, and they're going to lose all credibility if they do, they claim they're going to do a hard R, rated R movie, sexual content, violent content. Yes, around the two little kids, I'm using that. Daredevil, Daredevil, of course, but Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds and company, they're going to go for that. They're working that as we speak. And then now all those Netflix Marvel shows are all leaving, going to Disney or Hulu actually. Punisher with John Bernthal, Shane from Walking Dead, Daredevil, The Defenders. There's some Jessica Jones. There's some gritty storytelling, and I'm actually very impressed that Disney is willing to let Marvel kind of do their thing. Maybe it's that as long as they're successful and the ratings and the box office is good, they're gonna be hands off. I hope Disney doesn't get too much involved, because as much as I love Disney content with the kids, there's a place for that. There's a place for some harder, darker storytelling, and I hope that they let them, give them the freedom to do their thing. Because there's always the fear that someone will come in, and if there's a change in leadership, Was it Kevin Feige or Feige? He's been running Marvel for ages now. If he gets, let's say, if there's a power struggle and he gets sent away, maybe Disney starts to make maybe lighter-hearted stories, and it's not as hard. There's a place for all that, especially with Disney Plus. If you want to make lighter, kid-like Disney stories, the kids watch Amazing Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends on Disney Junior. Kid-friendly, beautiful. But for the darker stories, I want them to be able to go as far as they can. And like you, I'm very excited about that Moon Knight show coming up later in March, and looks like it's gonna be some gritty storytelling. So I don't know about you, if you think that this will continue, or Disney will kind of maybe wimp out a little bit and get scared if, let's say, box office starts to slump, they might push them away and make it more kid friendly.
I think the reality is Disney loses more money than most people will ever make, and with that reality, will your Moon Knight show, let's say the Moon Knight show doesn't do as well, or She-Hulk doesn't do that well, or a new representation of the Ghost Rider. When you make billions of dollars with Endgame, and you make all this money with No Way Home, and granted you're connected with Sony with that, but when you make all this, Marvel can stand to make a little bit of money here. They can stand to have a movie that makes 100 million, 200 million, 400 million, 1 billion, 2 billion, and put it all together. Because at the end of the day, if you want to tell these stories, you got to tell the stories. The reality of it all is, if Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is in fact a horror movie, and Sam Raimi, who made the original Spider-Man trilogy, being a horror-centric director, if this is what he does, and
he's done great films with that, so I'm excited about what he could do.
And if you bring him specifically to tell a horror story, which is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, if that is what he's here for, and we are here to go darker, you got Moon Knight coming to Disney Plus. You have Daredevil coming back, as we saw in Spider-Man No Way Home. There's the notion that John Bernthal, just like Charlie Cox of Netflix, John Bernthal, the Punisher we know from Netflix, that actor is coming back. So if you have the Punisher coming back, and you have Daredevil having already come back, and Moon
Kingpin Knight is coming, too.
What'd you say?
The Vincent D'Onofrio is Kingpin.
You have the Kingpin that's back. So you got two characters already back. The Kingpin reprising his role when he came back in Hawkeye from Daredevil on Netflix. Then you have Daredevil coming back from his own series. Then you have the notion that John Bernthal's Punisher is going to be coming back. You put all of that together with Moon Knight, and say that Doctor Strange is a horror flick, and you have Blade show up in an end credit scene, just his voice in an end credit scene, that is very hard to depict who exactly it was. And then Mahershala Ali said, no, this is me. So when you see that, you put all this together and you say, you're mentioning Blade, you got Moon Knight, you got Daredevil, you got Kingpin, there's a notion that Punisher's coming back, and Doctor Strange is going to a dark side of Marvel, and Scarlet Witch is getting dark. Then you've set up the Marvel Knights, you've set up the Midnight Suns, two different teams in Marvel, including the notion of the Dark Avengers. So if you're doing all of this, and then you have Madam Hydra putting her U.S. agent and the new Black Widow and putting this whole team together of Dark Avengers, you're setting us up. If they didn't do a dark team, if they didn't go to the Midnight Suns or to the Marvel Knights, then why bring all of this in all at the same time and having them all converge on each other within just a few months or a year or so of time? It doesn't make any sense with Marvel doing everything on purpose that this would happen by accident.
Yeah, and as a kid growing up with the Blade movies with Wesley Snipes, I'm very excited about that. Mahershala Ali, two-time Oscar winner and a heck of an actor. Very curious to see what he could do in that role. And those were very dark movies 25 years ago. First one came out in 98, and all the martial arts and sword fighting. I'm really hoping, as a nostalgic fan, that Wesley Snipes has some sort of role in it.
I think he might be in the Multiverse of Madness, maybe.
Yeah. Well, even if they just showed him in a cameo, I think we're going to see lots of cameos in that movie. Of course, you've heard the rumors that there could be like an evil Iron Man with Tom Cruise, who just put on the couch saying, I love Katie Holmes from 20 years ago. Maybe he'll be the new Iron Man.
I think Nicolas Cage is going to show up as Ghost Rider.
Oh, that would be cool, too, with those psychotic faces he makes and all that. And I don't even know how much that's acting. I think that he's really that insane and weird. But I love Nick Cage, but he's an insane kind of actor.
I can't believe the Spirit of Vengeance, a.k.a. Ghost Rider 2. If he was seriously acting in that,
yes,
then I question his sanity. If he was
I don't
making
think
a joke of himself,
I think he kind of was.
then I get it.
Yeah, I think it was a parody, or he was on what's that stuff that makes you trip out? Ayahuasca. I think he was on one of those. I think he was on one of those trips. Thought he was a real life zombie, and I think he was starting to lose it. But it was a great comedy. I don't think it was supposed to be a comedy, that movie,
Just
but
like Punisher Warzone, a fantastic comedy.
absolutely. They were like dancing in the streets then it took him like he was like an 80-year-old man trying to climb a fence. It was hysterical stuff. I bought it for one of the gifts I got you one of those years, and I'm basically like, just show this to any girlfriend you might have, and if she actually can put up with it for like more than 10 minutes, then she's a keeper. So I think that's the true test to any relationship you're in. Make her watch Punisher Warzone and see how quick she demands you to demolish that DVD, because she must really care about you if she's willing to put up with it.
Well, I will tell you that the lady in my life had seen 0 Marvel movies. I told her my favorite. Well, I'm not going to say. I'm going to see how well Ross and I, best friends. We are brothers. So I'm going to ask you this: who's my favorite Marvel character of all time?
Well, I know it's got to be Spider-Man, because you even made a Spider-Man movie in college. You went to like Central Park at like 2 a.m. climbing on trees. Like, you were asking to be like attacked on sight there. So you love Spider-Man. You're willing to like give your life to be Spider-Man. So it's got to be Spidey.
It is. And attached to Spider-Man, who is one of my other favorite characters.
I definitely know you love Venom, and you hated. Lost our picture here. We lost our picture. You hated how Topher Grace and, well, unfortunately with Sam Raimi with his Spider-Man, the end of his trilogy, how he kind of did a horrendous job, but I don't think his heart was fully in it to do Venom. And that was just like a bastardization of that character. And now you got Tom Hardy doing a much better job. I know you love Venom in the dark side of the Spidey universe.
So, as you know, Ross did not disappoint. He is correct on both. God bless me. But he is correct on both of these counts. Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel character of all time, and my favorite anti-hero, aka my like 1A to Spider-Man, is, I don't even want to call it 1A. My like Spider-Man and Venom are my favorites. They've been my favorites. They are my favorites. They probably always will be my favorites. So I wanted to see if you know it, because I knew you did. And fantastic job on your side. But I love those. And the lady in my life that I was getting at is, I said to her, she's never seen a Marvel movie. And I said, what movie do you want to watch? And I gave her some choices, and she goes, let's watch Venom. And I said, for real? And she's like, yeah, let's give it a shot. So I put Venom on, and she's in the movie. And when she's watching a movie, she like can't hear you. Like she hears you, but she's so focused. And so she's sitting there like this, intently watching. And every once in a while, she'd be like, babe, what's going to happen here? Like, what does this mean? Or she's trying to get backstory. She's trying to understand. And I'm going, okay, she looks like she cares. She more than me is watching this movie. She's paying more attention than I am. And at the end of the movie, she goes, wow, I really like that. And I was like, for real? She goes, yeah. She goes, I want to see the second one. Can we go see it? And I was like, are you serious? And I remember her going, I didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, but I do. And then we went to see the second one, and she was like, couldn't wait to get into the theater, loved it so much. And she literally mentions Venom, because she likes that I do the impression of I do the Venom voice from Tom Hardy, because I can make my voice sound like it's like two people, the Eddie. So like, but that, so she like literally once a day, she will make she'll either do the voice, have me do the voice, or she'll make some type of analogy or connect something back. She has made Venom a part of our daily, weekly life. And so very impressive. I think I found, I didn't think I'd ever find a woman who would be happy if I went in, by me going into the room saying, the way I see it, we can do whatever we want. So like, but she appreciates.
All I know is if she did that in the middle of the night, I'd be horrified. I'd probably call 911 if I had someone whisper to me. Honey. If my wife started to do that, I think I'd be terrified, and I would probably try to put her to cycle. But she sounds amazing.
She's like, "What do you want?" She's like, "What do you want to eat?" I'm like, she's like, "What do you want? What do you want for dinner?" I'm like, donuts and chocolate. So yeah, but
hey, I'm saying she's into it. I sometimes feel that way about the Hallmark movies I watch with Abby, because as much as I poo-poo them, I'm deeply invested in these stories and how realistic they are. And when it's over, I want to see what the next one's going to be. And I'm very annoyed that they only kissed in the last scene of the movie. So your girlfriend enjoys Venom. I'm getting into those Hallmark movies because I want realism.
bro, I know the ending of every. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know the ending of every Hallmark movie. I'm like, oh, that's the guy that she's gonna pretend not to like. She's just getting over a relationship. She's been hurt. He had a wife who passed away, or they got divorced. Eventually, they'll be chained together at a tree in Central Park at some point. Then they'll fall in love. Like, but you still can't.
But there's going to be a dark universe. I'm telling you, as much as Marvel does that, Hallmark's going to get dark too. They're going to start like getting machetes, start hacking people's heads off.
That's Lifetime.
Like
That's Lifetime. Yeah. If you want to watch the darker version of Hallmark, it's Lifetime channel.
Because those really happen. They afterwards tell you this is a picture of the real murderer.
How come they've never found any of those people that they've done movies about?
There's just a bunch of people getting their heads hacked off by sworn lovers. So yeah, they tell you the phone number.
If you ever want to scare the heck out of yourself, it's not The Conjuring. It's not. It's not like The Exorcist. If you want to scare yourself,
Lifetime.
Come home at 3:00 in the afternoon and watch a Lifetime movie. And when that movie ends about real people and real things and real happenings and somebody going to jail being framed and the real murderer being out there, and then every Lifetime movie does this. It cuts to black. This is, you see nothing. It's black. And then a picture pops up and it says, if you've seen Reggie from this movie, the last time we found him was in 1994 wearing a Hawaiian t-shirt in San Juan. And I'm thinking, you made this how did you get any of the information to make this movie if you don't know where he is? But every Lifetime movie, 90% of them, cut to black. They tell you if you've seen this person, and they have been on the loose for like 27 years.
Yeah, and now they're movie stars. I bet you they're the ones getting a cut from the movie. They're probably writing these films. I think they're definitely, Reggie has a piece of the action.
But yeah, my grandmother used to have that when I come home from the house. If you ever want to genuinely terrify yourself, there is nothing Sam Raimi will do in the Multiverse of Madness that will ever outdo the Lifetime channel.
No, I don't think it could. But I think that's the true test. Your true test was, could she legitimately like a superhero movie and actually like it and not just pretend to like it? And she passed with flying colors. And then I think on the opposite side, can your significant other watch a Hallmark movie and generally like it and pass with flying colors? If you could do one of those two extremes, then you got yourself a keeper.
Well, and that's the thing. She doesn't like those movies. So I don't have to worry about... She's not really...
I will tell you this, though. You missed out on Chesapeake Shores. I know we're not supposed to...
Don't put that on the show.
Chesapeake Shores is the greatest show ever. They wear glorious long sweaters. They're at the beach. They're saying cool things. And I want to be a Chesapeake Shore person when I grow up. This is my ambition. Watch it. Don't knock it till you try it. Watch it. Watch one episode. I dare you. They have a Chris Daughtry song, "I'm Coming Home," to start off the show with a bang. I'm telling you, it sets the mood. Enjoy your Chris Daughtry. You're gonna enjoy the show.
Super Powered Pops return in 2022.
LJ agrees.
Now Super Powered Pops return in 2022. We did not need that. Chesapeake Shores is somehow included in the Marvel Knights and the darker.
It is. So I'm coming home to the place. I don't even know the words. I just know it's "I'm coming home." It gets the mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Daughtry in concert. So Landmark Theater, Syracuse, New York, our hometown. So I'm wearing a shirt right now. It obviously says "The Man Without Fear." It's
Daredevil.
I had a theory.
If you got a screen, you have to go over that corner.
I had a.
You can come up, but only if you're gonna be good.
That's what Kevin Feige does. When one of his actors screams, he goes, "You're gonna have to stand in that."
Yeah. So you play with your choo-choo train, buddy.
But so my theory that I talked to with Ross off the air, 2-3 years ago, I said that in my belief for Disney was that canceling the shows Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Daredevil. The canceling of these shows had a reason. Now, when Iron Fist got canceled, I understood it. Luke Cage, there wasn't really a lot of fanfare for season 2. Jessica Jones, I didn't think was as well known of a character. But when they canceled Punisher, I questioned it. When they canceled the Daredevil series after 3 seasons, I thought there's no way that this was canceled because it was a bad show or because of the ratings. So my theory was that Marvel and Disney are obviously smarter than they were with Sony and smarter than they were with Fox and Universal to give up all the rights when they, were going to go bankrupt years ago and thought they were going to lose everything. I didn't see Marvel being as giving of their rights as they were in the past. So I said, whatever they gave to Netflix, obviously Marvel had a tie to it, right? Because Daredevil was with Fox, and then once it passed a few years after Ben Affleck, they got the rights back to Daredevil. And then, like with the Punisher, Thomas Jane, they got the rights back to the Punisher. So in this case with Netflix, I think Marvel has to not have the rights or to give something up where it's got to be 5 years, or that Netflix can make all these shows without them. So I don't know the exact underworkings of all of this, but what I thought was smart. Whatever they did with Netflix, there must be a caveat. There must be, you can't make these shows unless we approve of them, or unless we help you produce them, or unless we're a part of them. There must have been a quick out in the contract that they could end these shows, because it makes way too much coincidental sense that Disney Plus says, hey, we're coming, and Netflix cancels all the shows, including Punisher and Daredevil. And after that happened, I said, Disney is going to let these shows die. They're going to let these characters go for a year or two.
And then they're going to be the heroes.
And then they're going to come be the hero.
Yeah, and bring them back.
Bring all these shows back, and they're going to go, look what, Netflix was such the big baddie. And, here's Disney to save you. We're bringing back all the characters you love. Don't worry about Netflix, because Disney's going to be the hero. I said this 2 or 3 years ago, that that these shows would end, that it wasn't a coincidence, and that Disney would bring them back, and Disney would be the hero, because Disney would put them on Disney Plus and put them in the MCU once whatever rights they needed to do with Netflix were done. And now we've heard that John Bernthal is looking to come back as the Punisher. Charlie Cox has come back as Daredevil. And Vincent D'Onofrio is back as Kingpin and Hawkeye. And not only is he back, he's been the main villain of now 2 shows. Daredevil on Netflix and Hawkeye on Disney Plus. He's been the main villain in both of those TV shows. So Marvel did exactly what I expected. It looked like Netflix made a bad decision and Disney Plus picked up on it. But in reality, I think Disney knew that they were going to play the hero the whole time.
Oh, absolutely. And you knew the kind of the time of it. With all they do, everything's premeditated with Marvel and Disney. They know what they're doing. They're a money-making machine. Like, right before the Spider-Man movie came out, there was all these rumors about who's going to be in the movie, just like the Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange. And there was rumors there was going to be the 3 Spider-Men in it, and people were like, oh, probably not. But there was some screenshots of it. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, maybe Charlie Cox Daredevil going to have a role in this movie. And it's only a small role. And then all of a sudden, Marvel, like a week before the movie comes out, says that we don't know if we're going to use Charlie Cox or Daredevil character in the future. But if we do, Charlie Cox will continue as Daredevil. What happens like 5 days later? He's in the movie, early on in the movie, and people are in awe, amazed, and it blows the roof off the place, just like the multiple Spider-Men. And now everyone wants to have multiple projects with this character. So 100% agree with you with that. And then, with the Netflix thing, I was also like that. It seemed very weird to me that they have all these shows, The Defenders, Iron Fist, which some people poo-pooed, but especially Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Punisher with John Bernthal, a.k.a. Shane from Walking Dead. These were beloved shows, and Daredevil as well, and how they wiped them all out. So you knew that something was up, and it just makes sense. Disney Plus, they were gearing up to make their big pitch on the streaming rights, just like at first the Avenger movies were all on Netflix. They magically lost their rights to them. Disney Plus, even after Disney Plus came out, Netflix had some of the movies for a little while, just like they have had the shows for a little while. Now they all have gone to Disney Plus or Hulu, which is owned by Disney. And now by March 1st, in less than a week from today actually, they're going to have all the Punisher, Daredevil, all those Netflix Marvel shows are going to go back to Disney. So you knew something was up. So in the end, they pretend they saved the day and that Netflix were the idiots who canceled the shows. Netflix wasn't stupid. They didn't want to cancel these shows. They were forced to. They had their Mickey Mouse himself and Goofy were probably twisting arms while you do your Mickey impersonation and said, "You give us these shows or else." So Disney knows what they're doing. And Goofy probably did while he was saying, "Give me back my shows, or else I hurt you badly." So, as much as Disney is a kind show, place, greatest place on earth, we love going to Disney. When we just went there a couple weeks ago, they're very smart, they're very savvy, and Netflix is savvy too. But in the end, Netflix, if they don't own the content, they run the risk of losing it. And Disney, whatever they did in their contract, was very smart that they were able to get out and get their shows and movies back very quickly on Disney Plus, on their own streaming rights, and now they pretend they're the heroes. And Netflix somehow didn't know what they were doing and canceled these shows. They know what they're doing. They weren't fully canceled. These shows were never really canceled. They just took a break basically, and now they're back in full force. And you're going to see them shows and movies for the foreseeable future. They're going to be entrenched, especially with these darker stories that Marvel and Disney are going to go with. You're going to see them for a number of years. So. I thought it was laughable. But how about the timing when they're like, "Oh, this character happens to be in the movie or show. We don't know who he is. It's going to be that actor." And then like a day later, he's in the movie. So I think that's pretty premeditated.
He says, if there's ever to be, if and when, I'm paraphrasing, but if and when there is to be Daredevil in the MCU, it would be played by Charlie Cox. And then Charlie Cox shows up in Spider-Man No Way Home. And it's great to see him there, and it's great for him to be a piece of this. Now, mind you, for those of you that don't know, Netflix, we're looking for the transition of these and again, timing is everything, folks. Don't think that Disney makes mistakes. Been around Disney for a long time. They don't make mistakes. When there's purposeful, I shouldn't say they don't make, but there's purposeful reasoning to what they do. And you say Charlie Cox, you bring Charlie Cox back, you bring Vincent D'Onofrio back, John Bernthal may be coming back, and now right after Spider-Man No Way Home, right before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out, there's this news now that all of the shows, all the Marvel shows are coming off of Netflix. So they're all coming off of Netflix before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which tells me that there could be more to the story and more to come with this.
You're going to see some cameos, I'm thinking, even if they're only in there for a couple of moments. As you saw for the trailer that we saw for Super Bowl Sunday, it seems pretty obvious that Professor Xavier is in it, in wheelchair and all, the great Patrick Stewart, that he's going to be in the movie. And they've been very good and well trained at basically lying and right to the person's face that, "No, I'm not in the show. I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy." It seemed very obvious that's his voice. They're going to incorporate all these 20th Century Fox characters that they got. So it's Ryan Reynolds, the latest star who claims he's not in the movie. He's going to be in the movie in some capacity. Even if it's just at the end credits, they always have a Marvel. You never leave a Marvel movie to the last credit rolls.
Oh, I think Deadpool will be in the end credit.
And it might just be something like tongue-in-cheek where he's laughing, the quintessential Ryan Reynolds being sarcastic, trying to set up his next movie and saying, "I can't believe I'm in Disney," and then he drops a bunch of F-bombs. Who knows what he'll do?
I could just see him saying, if when I see an open hole, I got to go through it.
Yeah, he does the innuendo and all that stuff. So, he very well could have a cameo. If they have a new Wolverine, or if they somehow gave Hugh Jackman $1 billion, maybe he comes back. You're going to see X-Men characters, Fantastic Four characters who are going to be incorporated in the Marvel universe now. All these characters, possibly even Elektra now that, the debacle of 20 years ago, the Jennifer Garner movie that people didn't like, that might be rebooted in some capacity. And even, as much as Daredevil was kind of poo-pooed, the Ben Affleck version, I when I was a teenager like you, when it came out in 2003, I thought it was a pretty good movie. It was entertaining.
I liked Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell was freaky as Bullseye.
Yeah, Bullseye. Yeah, the show was, of course, a lot better, a lot grittier. But for what it was in the early infancy stages of these superheroes before they became the gigantic money making machines they are today. These were movies back then when if they made $40 million opening weekend, that was a good weekend. Now, if you don't make $100 million opening weekend, you're considered an absolute bomb. It was terrible in the box office. So this was back when it was a lot lower stakes, and I thought it was a pretty solid movie. Just people, he's a very polarizing figure, Ben Affleck. You either love him or hate him. Yeah. And many people to this day, some people loved what he did as Batman, and other people can't get over the Geely when he was with J-Lo and Bennifer 20 years ago. Now they're back together, so people are going to rip him apart. So I thought those characters were good then, and it's going to be very interesting to see now that Disney and Marvel have all these characters, how they're going to incorporate them. I think a great introduction is in this multiverse. You could easily find a way to bring them in, even if a cameo, even just to be in there for 2 minutes apiece. They might get millions of dollars, these actors, just to do it, and it's worth the while. And the true hardcore fans from Comic-Con and stuff, it will blow their minds up. You're gonna have to pick them off their floor. Their jaws will drop, and it will make their day to see if like Wolverine popped up or Deadpool popped up for like a minute. It will make their year. And it's gonna be the greatest thing ever for them.
Hugh Jackman's Wolverine did pop up in a later X-Men movie.
Yeah,
they did pop up where they went to go, get a team together and us off, and so there's the reality that anything can happen in this. In our next episode of Superpowered Pop that Ross Turetsky is going to be featured on, here with me with myself, Dan Tortora. The next episode we do is going to be all Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and we're going to make a list of the crazy. We're going to make 2 lists.
Predictions of what we think.
One list is going to be our predictions of who we actually believe is going to cameo in the Multiverse of Madness, and then our second list is going to be craziest, most off the wall, like 1 in a billion chance, like a Ben Affleck as Daredevil, or
you can make your own fan fiction basically, and basically have multiple people play the same character. Right. You could have Robert Downey Jr. come back as Iron Man to beat the crap out of, let's say, Tom Cruise became insane Iron Man. You could have them fight to the death for all you know. You could have multiple people who you've seen this character. Yeah, you said Ben Affleck maybe as Daredevil versus Charlie Cox. You could see that. You could see multiple Wolverines. You could see the 3 Spider-Men getting it on film again. Now that Marvel and Sony, I'm sure, would love a piece of that. Might find a way in.
I would love, as we're going through these like wormholes and stuff, I would love, for no offense to the actor, as a human being.
I make a prediction. Is this anything to do with Tom Hardy as Venom punching Topher Grace in the face and saying, "I'm the real Venom, you're terrible"?
This is why you're on the show now as a weekly contributor, because you know me and I love you for it. My words that were just going to come out of my mouth were, if for anything, like you just took it. I was like, as we're going through these wormholes, I want to see Tom Hardy's Venom beat the absolute.
I would love to see it
out of Topher Grace's Venom. I want him to be like, you know what I mean?
There's so many comic book fans. It would make them so happy. It would be.
I have to see it. I have to see Tom Hardy's Venom, just like as they're falling through, just beating the head.
Kind of like what was it in the first Avengers movie with Mark Ruffalo's Incredible Hulk? He was thrown like a ragdoll, Loki, and then he even punched the lights out of Thor. He proved that he was the ultimate, big, badass in town. So even if it's just for a moment, the movie's coming out in May. It'd be Christmas in May if you just saw for 2 seconds Tom Hardy just beat the heck out of Topher Grace.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, and it's just funny how I said, if I could see anything, and that could have been a million answers, and everybody on this that's watching and listening is like, what is he going to say? Is he going to say what I'm thinking? And then you go, hold on, is it something to do with Tom Hardy's Venom beating the heck out of Topher Grace? And I'm like, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And Sam Raimi has a connection with him.
That was my only thought. If I could have only one wormhole part of this movie, if Sam Raimi said you could pick one thing, I'd be like, give me Tom Hardy's Venom beating the heck out of Topher Grace's Venom. That's all I want.
Absolutely. And Sam Raimi.
That's my necessity, is to have Venom beating Venom. And you know what? As he's ripping him and he ate Carnage, for him to like take the thing and go, to just have Tom Hardy's Venom go, I like this. And he pulls the spider off and then puts the spider on himself. That would be cool too.
I can picture him almost eating him whole. He just eat him whole like an anaconda snake.
Topher Grace doesn't even look like an appetizer. He looks like the toothpick you put in the appetizer.
Yeah, he's like an after dinner man. So, or the lemon.
He's a Jordan almond.
Yeah, basically the lemon that they put on your glass of water. Sam Raimi, of course, directed Spider-Man 3. He could definitely hook that up. So it's as crazy as it sounds. It's not that far right
if he played a joke, like if he like poked fun at himself, because he apparently didn't even like the Venom character.
He could be like, "What the heck was I thinking to do this in the movie?
Like, why would I do this?" Because Sandman's already come back. You know, we've seen the return of these characters, but we haven't seen Topher Grace as Venom. So it would be cool to see.
Because you saw a Goblin, you saw Green Goblin, you saw Doc Ock, you saw all these guys, but they made sure, of course, at the end of the movie, not much of a spoiler, Tom Hardy pops up in it, and kind of is Venom in a way, but there's no Topher Grace from the original Spider-Man 3 movie. So it'd be a heck of a surprise for fans to get some great revenge, because I think almost everyone, maybe Topher Grace himself, his own family probably hates that character that he played.
Sam Raimi, like, he took on the Tom Hardy Venom in that moment where he says, "Eddie, we are drunk." I would love if there was a moment where Sam Raimi goes, "I'm sorry for creating Venom. I was drunk." Just admit that he was the one sloshed that day. But so we're going to get into that next episode, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We're going to have a list of who we think is actually going to cameo, and then we're going to have our crazy, oh my goodness, if they somehow did this, Ross and I are going to be right, but it would be insane. So we're going to have...
Basically, you could write your own fan fiction for all the fans out there who would like to write their own screenplay. Yeah, basically. And I know we've written screenplays in college and other places. You could live off your greatest fantasy of what you think might happen.
Okay. Yeah, and so we're gonna have both lists, who we think will, and then just like a random kind of like, this would be crazy. But to get back to the Marvel Knights and the Midnight Suns, for those of you that want to connect with Marvel's Netflix shows, you gotta do it sooner than later. But they will be, I would imagine, going to Disney soon. Daredevil. This is the order to watch him in. Believe it or not, there was 13 total seasons of Marvel shows on Netflix. Hard to believe when you break it all down. In order: Daredevil season 1, Jessica Jones season 1, Daredevil season 2, Luke Cage season 1, Iron Fist season 1, The Defenders limited series, The Punisher season 1, Jessica Jones season 2, Luke Cage season 2, Iron Fist season 2, Daredevil season 3, The Punisher season 2, and Jessica Jones season 3. That's the correct order to watch these shows in. And I am just finishing up The Punisher season 2 because of all the characters, my favorites, Daredevil and The Punisher. And that's just a historic thing with me. I've been a big fan of Daredevil since Ben Affleck, and because I did like it. And I've been a huge fan of The Punisher since Thomas Jane, because I thought he did a great job. And back in the day when Blockbuster existed, it was one of the highest rented DVDs. After maybe the movie didn't do that well, the DVD was hardly sought at, or very much sought after. Just to make a note here, Ross, if the Marvel Knights were to happen, Black Widow, if they bring her from another world, or her sister, if they were to bring the Marvel Knights in from the comics, Black Widow's already appeared. Dagger already appeared in 2 seasons of Cloak and Dagger on ABC Family, which became Freeform. Daredevil's already appeared in a movie and in 3 seasons on Netflix. Moon Knight will appear here in 2022. The Punisher has already appeared in 3 movies played by 3 different people, and a TV show played by a 4th person. And
all right, you're counting. I know a lot of people don't remember Dolph Lundgren was Punisher in an old movie
when
from
he
1989.
Wear the Punisher. How do you have a character that's
it was ridiculous,
Spider-Man not wearing a spider suit?
Yeah.
That's like Iron Man not having armor.
It's preposterous.
How do you have
I grew up watching that movie as a kid, and I'm like, what the hell am I watching? It's Ivan Drago from Rocky IV with black hair instead of blonde hair, and there's almost no Punisher lore in it, but that's supposedly the Punisher. And then, as much as people ripped apart the Thomas Jane one, I thought he was very good. I thought there was I think a lot of it was ripped right from the comic books. Some of it was very laughable. John Travolta was good, but a little over the top as a bad guy. and a lot of people aren't used to seeing John Travolta as a bad guy. They're used to seeing him as a good guy, and Saturday Night Fever and all that stuff.
Because I don't think people wanted to see John Travolta die because it was John Travolta.
Yeah, and it was weird for them to see him so sinister. But overall, and then it was one of his, I think it might have even been his last movie. Roy Scheider from Jaws fame, a great actor. He was in the movie. I think he played his dad in the movie and got killed early in the movie. But Thomas Jane is a heck of an underrated actor. He was also Mickey Mantle in the Billy Crystal movie 61, about Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle going for Babe Ruth's home run record. Very underrated actor, and I thought he did a heck of a job. So I was actually disappointed because they were supposed to make sequels to that Punisher, and then they ended up getting rid of that. And then, Punisher Warzone, as much as I joke with you about it and I got you as a present, it was a debacle. It was a piece of garbage. I'll flat out say it. Punisher Warzone was terrible. Ray Stevenson's a solid actor, and Dominic West played Jigsaw, not the guy from the Saw movies, but he was a cartoonish character. He's a great actor as well, from The Wire and a bunch of shows and movies. But it was a terrible movie, so I would first admit that. And then John Bernthal was born to play that role. So he said he loved that role well before he ever got casted, well before he even joined like The Walking Dead and all these other things you know him for. He fell in love with Punisher as a young age, and he said that it means a lot to him. And if he was going to do it and come back to it, which I think he will, it has to be gritty, it has to be realistic, it has to be violent. And if they ever pulled punches and made it like kind of a cartoonish, kiddie type show, he'd be the first one to walk right off set because it means so much to him. He'd rather quit and be unemployed than do a piece of garbage that would hurt the reputation of a character that's near and dear to his heart. So I give him a lot of respect. He seems to live and die with every character and role he plays, and you can feel that in every performance he plays. And he even just did a great performance with Will Smith, who might win an Oscar in the Serena Venus Williams movie about their dad, the coach, called King Richard, and he plays the tennis coach in the movie. And John Bernthal in that is playing a heck of a role in all different roles. He knocks it out of the park. So I've enjoyed a bunch of the Punisher, but basically I like the Thomas Jane Punisher. Dolph Lundgren and the Ray Stevenson one, Punisher Warzone, were garbage. And then John Bernthal, by far to me, is the Punisher. And if they ever make another movie with him, of Punisher, it's got to be John Bernthal. While he's still in his young and his prime of his career, you need to get him involved and bring him back into the fold, which I think they will, because I think it's tour de force acting, and he lives and breathes that character. It would be a waste of an opportunity to not do another show or movie with John Bernthal as the Punisher.
Yeah, and John Bernthal made the statement that, he's willing to return as long as he can do the character right, and so to see this return, it's, and I want to say this, Hollywood Reporter did an interview with him. He said, quote, "That character in particular has real deep meaning for me and resonance in me. He's really in my heart, man. He's really in my bones. I'm enormously protective of that character. I've said before that there's nothing in this world more important to me than my wife and my kids. And only until you understand that kind of love and what it really means to willingly die for somebody do you understand what it would be like if somebody took them from you." End quote. So, looking at this is something he said, quote, "That being said, that's where that character needs to be. It needs to be a level of darkness. I think if there's any let up on that character, you do a disservice to the character, to every iteration of the character, to every comic book that's come before, and to all the unbelievable fans of the character. This character means so much to people in the military. So like I said before, it's not about whether you do the character, it's about whether you can do it right. And I'm only interested in doing it right," end quote. And, temporarily in the comics right now, they've changed the logo. It just looks stupid. And
you need to have the original logo. The original Punisher logo is iconic. Speaking of athletes and military servicemen, there's so many of them you've seen on TV, movies, or in real life where they're wearing that Punisher shirt underneath their uniform. It means something to them. It's this powerful, badass, I can take on the world. I can defeat anyone who's in my way and save the day. It's this heroic, powerful message and powerful symbol that's so iconic. It's basically like if you would change the Batman logo. It'd be idiotic. It's like, that's the Batman logo. To take that away would be insanity. Same thing with the Punisher logo. That is the Punisher logo. And to change that, it loses so much of the power behind it.
Yeah, and the Punisher logo essentially right now looks extremely stupid. It looks like someone with a Fu Manchu. It actually looks like Ghost Rider with a Fu Manchu. So it's not.
Nicolas Cage will play that character, I'm sure. In
Oh,
another
he
year.
will. If you're like, hey, we're gonna do a Ghost Rider with devil horns and a Fu Manchu, he'd be like, do you even? They'd be like, do you want to discuss salary? No, I don't.
No,
Even,
no. Remember, he's bankrupt. He's willing to do anything. He'll like hang out with you and walk your dog for 5 cents an hour. He'll do whatever it takes because that man needs his money. He has like 10 houses around the world. He has like mausoleums or places to put his dead body one day for future homes for the afterlife. And he has so much of that stuff he bought and went on shopping sprees. He needs money desperately because he has no money anymore. So any role you have for him, he will take it. He doesn't need to see a script. You don't have to talk to him. You know what's sad? This is an Academy Award winner. He won an Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas in 1995. That seems like a million years ago. This is an Oscar winner who's willing to do any piece of garbage movie you can have. He'll do Cinemax After Dark movies if it took it, because nothing is too low for Nick Cage at this point.
Well, and that's the thing is, I mean, looking at what this is, and just looking at and joking about that with Nicolas Cage, but I mean the Punisher, it's the skull, and it's just the conversation about, well, what does it represent and what is this and what is that? Listen, anybody can. Okay, I'm going to put it to you like this: when they say, well, we can't put the logo on there because people are using the logo for the cops now this way. Let me be real with you. Somebody could put a Spider-Man logo on the back of their car and then go into a bar and beat somebody up. Does that mean Spider-Man's a bad person? No. Somebody could have a Black Widow logo on their book bag and they could, I don't know, steal from somebody. Does that mean Black Widow is a bad person? So I think the thing is, I knew people in school that could have been fans of Batman and they beat up kids and threw kids in their locker. Does that mean Batman does that? No. So the Punisher to me is a character. He's a character. He means a lot to John Bernthal. John Bernthal plays him well. I love it. And the Punisher, between Daredevil and the Punisher, the vigilante world, that's why we're talking about it on today's episode of Superpowered Pop. Ross Turetsky, here with me, Dan Tortora.
And Dan, I only have a few more minutes, but I would like to be able to talk about that Moon Knight show before we leave, because I know you're excited about it. You did the impression of, at the beginning of the show. You said you basically become addicted to that tagline. Before we have to head out, I'd love to talk about what your thoughts and excitement for Moon Knight.
Yeah, and I think, and to just go back kind of off of that to the Marvel Knights, if they were to do it, like I said, Black Widow, Dagger, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Punisher, Shang-Chi, with Moon Knight coming in, every member of the Marvel Knights would be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as of right now, which is pretty cool. With that being that the Dagger is a part of it, which I imagine that she is, with Disney having Freeform under their umbrella. So, they could bring that Marvel Knights group to fruition. Moon Knight, listen, first time I ever heard anything about Moon Knight, I was told, think about Batman with split personality disorder. And I was like, I thought Christian Bale's Batman did have split personality disorder.
Yeah, so, Shane, you're a nice guy, but I'm going to beat the heck out of you. And that's BG.
Are you kidding me, Shane? Are you kidding me right now? In my set? Are you kidding me right now? So, but I mean, I think Moon Knight for me is a show I'm really excited about. Oscar Isaac plays Moon Knight in this.
He's a hell of an actor. He's just such a terrific actor in everything he does.
Now, how about this? How are they going to explain this? And will they explain this in the
because he's in the X-Men Apocalypse, yeah.
Oscar Isaac
and
will
Star
now be
Wars.
Moon Knight in Marvel, Poe Dameron in Star Wars, and Apocalypse in X-Men, which are now all owned by Disney.
That's a lot of Disney synergy right there. So it's very hard if there was
they obviously like the actor. So
yeah, worlds collide. Yeah, they love this actor. He's a heck of an actor. Whether it be romantic comedy, action movie, dramas. He just did a mini series. What was it? Was it Secrets of a Marriage or something like that? Very dark with him and Jessica Chastain about a marriage falling apart. He can do anything, and I'm like, this guy's a hell of an actor. And get ready because this Saturday is gonna be John Mulaney, who's hysterical host Saturday Night Live. The following week, March 5th, the day after the new Batman movie comes out, you're gonna get to see Oscar Isaac host Saturday Night Live, and I'm sure he'll be tremendous in that in a funny way because you haven't seen him do too much comedy, and that would be perfect timing because it will be able to hype up and get ready for Moon Knight that's coming out at the end of March.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's going to be really cool. I'm excited for the show, of course. I love the fact that Oscar Isaac said, it's dark and we go to places, and when you think we're just going to stop, we don't stop. And there's one part
which is amazing that Disney would allow that and Marvel do that. So that's why kudos that they're willing to do
the Marvel Knights and what I've wanted for years and what we're talking about today. I've wanted this for so long. And when they said we're bringing Moon Knight, I was shocked. When they announced Miss Marvel, I was shocked because I don't know how they're going to do her powers. But when they showed Miss Marvel, I was shocked. But when they said Moon Knight is coming, I was absolutely positively stunned because I thought to myself, is Disney Plus what are they gonna do with Punisher? What are they gonna do with Daredevil? What are they gonna do with Ghost Rider? And then when they said we're bringing Moon Knight in, I was like,
yeah,
if you're gonna go that dark, then you're gonna bring the Knights in.
Yeah,
because Moon Knight, for them to start at Moon Knight, because remember they had something to do with Netflix because it's their properties, but for you to have your first dark show be Moon Knight, that's darker than Daredevil. That's darker than some of these other worlds. So I think it's incredible that they're doing it, and I hope that they do it right. And all I've heard is great things about it, and just Oscar Isaac just going to work and saying, I want to try this, I want to push this, I want to push the envelope, I want to do this. And he sounds like he feels like he had free, from what I read, it sounded like when he kind of said, I want to try this, that they gave him the freedom to do it. So.
Which I love to see, that's why I have faith in this show, because as much as you're like, Disney might find a way to kind of curb some of the violence and the dark themes, the Oscar Isaac, I buy in anything he plays, great actor, the creative team behind this show, it seems like they passionately care about this show and these characters, so they're not going to shortchange it. I think they're going to go with gusto, and they're going to basically like their hair's on fire, kind of like how Bernie Sanders' hair looks like every day. They're going to go for it, and I think they're going to get really powerful and dark and weird, and at times it's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to be awkward to watch this type of show on Disney Plus. Make sure your kids who are watching like Frozen and Bluey and all the goofy cartoon Puppy Dog Pals
thing on there.
Yeah, make sure they don't randomly go from Puppy Dog Pals to Moon Knight, because it will put some hair on their chest and scare the crap at them at a young age. So I think, though, it's great that Disney could be so many different sides. They could be the kid shows. They could be Star Wars. They could be the Marvel superhero movies that are more like lighter tone. And people for years were kind of saying, Marvel's too and DC is too dark with their movies. And besides the Dark Knight Christopher Nolan trilogy, most people have bashed like the way they've done Superman, the way they've done Batman since Christopher Nolan, that it's too dark. And I'd be interested to see, because this new Batman movie that's supposedly getting great reviews, that people seem to really like it with Robert Pattinson, that's going to be dark. But is it going to be too dark, or is it going to be more in the Christopher Nolan realm of things? Matt Reeves is the director of that, directed the Planet of the Apes movies with Caesar, great young director. Robert Pattinson is not just the Edward Cullen, the pretty boy from Twilight, and also from the Harry Potter movies. He's done a lot of independent movies. Willem Dafoe, a lot of great characters. He's proven that he can be a heck of an actor. Zoe Kravitz is new Catwoman. So in my way, it'd be interesting to see you have this new kind of gritty Batman movie, but DC's been criticized for being too dark. Now Disney and Marvel, who've been criticized for being too light at times, they're getting darker. Are they going to be similar? Is Moon Knight going to still throw some wisecracker like Tony Stark jokes in there to lighten it up a little bit? Will Disney try to get it a little lighter and try to fight for some more humor in it? Because that's another thing. They've always kind of criticized that Marvel throws too many of these one-liner jokes when it's supposed to be a serious subject at times in these comic book movies, but they also don't take themselves too seriously. DC comic movies usually take themselves too seriously, and that's been criticism. Will the same happen to Marvel and Moon Knight and these dark shows if they go too dark and too serious?
Yeah, I
think
abrupt
tonal change.
No, and I think Disney, but I think for me, I think, Disney obviously knows what they're good at and whatnot, but the Marvel Knights, another group, quick here, the Midnight Suns, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, as well as Wong, Moon Knight, Iron Fist, Man-Thing, Dr. Voodoo, My Guy, the Scarlet Spider, Morbius, Blade. Look at all these characters that are coming in with the Multiverse of Madness and Doctor Strange's group. Whatever happens in the multiverse and how dark it gets, will he go to these characters? Will he go to Ghost Riders? And, with Morbius being pushed and pushed and pushed, is that because he's going to cameo and crossover in Doctor Strange?
And they claim that that's now going to come out April 1st, just a few weeks after the Batman movie. And as we saw in the trailer, Michael Keaton's Vulture is going to be back in some capacity. And now there's, of course, rumors in order to help it maybe make it a bigger box office movie that Sony's going to maybe include those extra Spider-Men from No Way Home, and that they might be basically doing reshoots to help the appeal of a character that a lot of people have never heard of, Morbius. And he's in this darker Sony, because kind of Sony might be making their own Marvel-type movies and stuff that's going to be different than the MCU and that cinematic universe. And they're going to make their own kind of films. And now they've delayed Morbius so many times. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad film. In many ways, it could just be that we're trying to find a way to make it as appealing as possible. And maybe it's too many cooks in the kitchen and they're going to add too much to it and will water down the character. And Jared Leto's a heck of an actor, serious Academy Award actor. You have to give it to Marvel in these comic movies. For all these directors who are all stuffy and complain that these are childlike movies, they get some of the best talent in the world behind the scenes and in front of the camera. They get Oscar-winning actors and directors and people to be involved in these movies. Besides that it's a big fat paycheck they wanted to go for, they are very much willing and passionate about these roles. And it's not just because it's a kid-like movie. If it was a childish movie, there's no way that they would agree to be in these movies and shows.
Yeah, so it's going to be great. And I think Doctor Strange, as dark as we're getting here, that it could make sense that the Midnight Suns are coming. In the Eternals, totally random to have Black Knight and Blade talking to each other, and that shows a dedication to the darker side of things. Then John Bernthal potentially returning, Vincent D'Onofrio, like we said, with Kingpin, with Charlie Cox coming in. There's all of this setup to going dark. The Ghost Rider could be showing his face again, and that whatever Doctor Strange has to deal with, he might have to lean on darker characters to defeat a darker force. So, with that being said, the Marvel Knights, the Midnight Suns, something is not coincidentally coming to Marvel, and I can't wait for where we're going. Ross, welcome officially to the team with your first episode here with us as a contributor of Superpowered Pop, and we look forward to talking with you all soon.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and it flew right by, and love talking to you about all that stuff, sports,